Hello ladies and gentlemen, today we're back in War Thunder on the dev server for update 1.73 and we're looking at another French aircraft. This is the French bomber at rank 1 battle rating 2.0, the N.C.223.3. And as I said in the farming video I did on the dev blog and also on the, the pre-look I suppose you'd call it, the N.C.223.3 is just an upgraded farman. It has better engines in the form of the Hispano-Suiza 12Y29, which I believe is, well, it's very similar to the engine you find on the 410. When it comes to what it is, it actually has more horsepower than the 410 engine. It also has the push-pull engines, as you can see under the wing here, one on the front, one on the back. And the biggest upgrades it actually has over the Farman is its defensive armaments. So it has one 20mm Hispano on the top, one 20mm Hispano on the bottom. Each have 240 rounds each. So this isn't just a 60 round mag on this Hispano or a 120. You have 240, which is easily enough to take out whatever is on your tail. You do not have any armor on the machine, so once you're hit, you're hit. You do have the twin tail, which is nice to see, and you also have that 7.5mm at the front here. What is exactly the same as the Farman is the bombs. So you start off with 50 kilo times 52, so 5250. So I believe I worked that out as 2,600 2,600 kilos. And then you also have the 5-200s, 7-100s, and then 15-200s, 12-100s. So you actually get, let's see, so 15 times 200 is 3,000. Bloody hell. Okay, this thing has a 4,200 kilo bomb load at its highest, and it's a battle rating 2.0. Now, a lot of people may say that the Farman is okay at 1.3 because of its speed, because it has no armor. Well, the NC.223.3 has dealt with the speed issue. It is at 369 kilometers an hour stock right now, and it doesn't really get slowed down by any of the, what would you call it? It doesn't get slowed down by any of the bomb load that it has. I mean, it loses about 4 kilometers of, speed, which really isn't that much at all. I'm actually just going to change the bots to rank 2. Just because it's a 2.0. We're facing slightly better bots than you generally would when it comes to the aircraft. But overall, yeah, the NC.223 at 2.0, I mean, it has it has the defensive armament. It has a decent amount of speed to be able to get to the target. It has the bomb load of 4,200 or 2,600 stock, and it also gets the bomber spawn. So for the Farman it was 3,500. We'll have to see what it is for the NC.223. What is different is obviously the twin tail. It also has the retractable undercarriage, which is very nice to see. And the guns, the fact that they have 240 rounds just makes them so much more useful. And also the little turret at the bottom there, I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but it looks cool as hell if that is correct. So when we look at the cockpits, it is much more enclosed than the Farman, which is probably good for the two pilots. We have good old Andre with us as well. And then, of course, it has WEP and starts off at around the same height. When it comes to the bomb bay is very similar to the Farman. Pretty much exactly the same. The only real difference is, as I said, the rudder on it and the twin tail. So you get more speed, you get much better defensive armaments. You also have the ability to use flaps, so this has combat. It has combat, takeoff, and landing flaps. So it has all 3 sets of flaps, where the Farman has 0. It has better engines, it has better everything, and somehow this is only at 2.0. Now the bomb load itself, in my opinion, should mean that it is not 2.0. Just because with 4,200 kilos worth of bombs, you can do a hell of a lot of damage. even with 2600, the stock of it. I talked about it in the Farman video, how you can take out all of the bases with one Farman. If you are diligent enough, you can do exactly the same thing with the NC. When it comes to its guns, the fact that it has quite a lot of rounds per gun, it actually means that it is a worthwhile defensive armament. The 20mm of the French is never had an issue with doing damage. What the issue it's always had is the fact that it doesn't have a ton of ammunition on it. And the actual turning of the 20mm at the bottom, it has a decent amount of movement, I suppose you'd call it, around. The dead space is about the same as you will find on the Farman, which is completely fine in my opinion. But yeah, the issue with the 20mm for the French was never the fact that it didn't do enough damage. The issue was the fire rate and the muzzle velocity, and also the fact that it didn't have a lot of ammunition. Well, on the MC, the ammunition bit is solved. 240 rounds is completely enough to be able to take out a fighter at around 2.0 that you will be fighting. And the velocity thing, well, we're going to have to see how that works moving forward, if the 20s get a change, or if the... oh dear. Or if the... let's just plonk them over there. If the 20s get a change, or if the 7.5s get a change. So where is the best place to approach this guy if you're trying to attack it? Head on, always a good idea. With only one 7.5mm in the nose, it won't be able to really attack you. One of the issues is the fact that the 20mm on the top of it, as you can see, let's just balance it out here, it can, whoa buddy, it can turn forward, right? So if you're going to approach it, you approach it from down here, or you approach it from here. You do not approach it from behind because of that 20mm, wherever it is. So the 20mm actually doesn't have that great a depression. You actually have a huge dead zone under the aircraft. So if you're going to approach it, that's probably because of that there. So if you're going to approach it, you approach it from dead below, and hopefully have the amount of speed to be able to hit it, or take out that 20mm, and then you can just sit on its arse all day. So that 20mm at the bottom is going to be great at taking out things straight behind this aircraft, but it's not going to be great at taking out stuff which is below it. So attacking from below is probably the best thing to do, and probably the only option you're going to have, because obviously this thing spawns at 3,500. Landing this monstrosity shouldn't actually be too bad. I have landed the Farman on the airfield quite easily. It has a very low stall speed, and also, especially since this thing has flaps, you've just got to make sure that you don't pop up in the air too hard before anything crazy happens. So yeah, there's not really much else to say about this. The Farman is an issue because it's a 1.3. The NC might be an issue because it's at 2.0, but I'm holding out hope that it's not as much of an issue as the Farman will be. This thing basically rips at exactly the same speed that you find the Farman at, so about 450, and it actually struggles to lose speed, but then again, that's pretty much the same thing with all of these larger bombers. The push-pull engine idea is so interesting. I hope we see more aircraft with it. There was definitely more aircraft around, especially pre-war, which did have the push-pull idea behind them. So hopefully if we get some kind of mixed nation, we do see that at some point. Something you will have to watch out for on the 20mm is the fact that the 20mm will overheat very quickly. Remember, when the French come out, you're going to be starting off with fresh crews, so you're not going to have the same weapon maintenance as you're used for. Something that I had to get used to with the Italians is that my pilot couldn't soak a shot, so head-ons were definitely a lot harder to do. Well, that's going to be the same with the French, of course, because your crew skills get reset. Sorry, just getting rid of all of the bombs that are in this bomb bay. It takes a bit of a while. Those beautiful little 50-kilo yellow bombs. and therefore taking out pilots, taking out gunners shouldn't be too hard to do on these French aircraft, but as time goes on, it's gonna become a bit of an issue. Also, the bombs destroy trees, which I'm not sure if they did that before. I've never really looked, but on this dev server they do. So yeah, you can create like a line of destroyed trees, which is definitely interesting in my opinion. So landing flaps down, gears down, we're at about 340, which you'd think was kind of fast, especially for a large lump like this, but it seems to be okay with it, especially with the wheels. As you can see, they are fully down at 310. There we go. They do take a little bit of a while to get down, but you know, you're gonna get used to that with these large machines. Not exactly sure if this airfield is wide enough for this, but you are going to need a slightly longer airfield to land this. Certain lower tier maps are going to struggle when actually landing this machine, just because of the size of them are incredibly small and designed for fighters, but the majority should be okay. As you can see, this is probably one of the biggest aircraft we have at this tier, excluding the TB3, so it should be alright. There we go. That is the back down, bit of a hover. Come on, slow down, baby. You can also see the radio mast at the top, which is nice to see. Just a nice little touch. And there we go. Simple as that. Simple landing, simple plane. This one will be a lot of fun in my opinion. And I have less worries about it just because of its BR compared to the Farman. But anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this video. I'll see you next time.